Well, Stuart, first of all, I was there the other night, listened to your interview after the game, and you sounded like that really hurt you, that defeat to us. And I just wonder what it's been like around the club since a night such as that, when you've fought back three times and still ended up losing to the team at the bottom. How's it been since?
Yeah, look, I think on the night, the emotion, you really feel the pain when you lose a game like that in the manner that we did lose it. Uh, I actually thought that when you reflect and you watch the game back, the first half, I thought we performed very well. If you take away the errors, the goals that we scored, we performed to a good level. Second half, we all know it wasn't good enough in the level that we performed to. But look, it's one of those now. We have to focus now solely on Bradford, and we said that to the guys after the game. We have to go away. We have to assess ourselves. We have to come back with a game plan now for Bradford, and I think we've done that. The lads have come in today, very bubbly, and we have to pick the lads up very quickly. We can't dwell on it. We have to make sure. It's a saying in football, and this is very cliche, that you can't get too down when you lose games. You can't get too high when you win games. And when we was at Newport, we didn't get too high. It was a very low moment in the sense of the way, in the manner that we lost the game the other night. And obviously with Sutton being down the bottom end of the league, which was hugely frustrating. But look, we'll pick ourselves up and we'll go again. We're really looking forward to a really tough challenge now away at Bradford.
When you came in, you made some changes defensively to stop you being so vulnerable to the counter attack. I just wonder now, after conceding 10 goals in three home games, are the nature of the goals you're conceding, the number of goals you're conceding, is it a bigger concern than perhaps you first thought when you came in? It's been happening all season, but I just wondered if it's now a bigger concern than you first thought.
I wouldn't say a bigger concern. I think it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. I think we stopped the flow of teams now counter-attacking on us. If you look at the types of goals that we're conceding now, a lot of them have been individual errors. But a lot of the goals also could be stopped at source. So we're on the training ground. We're working very hard at it. But it doesn't happen overnight. So look, we'll keep working hard on it. It's a frustration of ours because we pride ourselves as a management team on clean sheets, because we know getting clean sheets brings real success. You can score all the goals you want, but if you don't keep clean sheets, you don't have sustained and real success. So we know that it's something and a point of a football club and a team as well that we want to get to.
Is it a big confidence issue as well? Because it's been happening all season, and because that goals against column is so high, is there a big confidence issue, do you think, in particularly in your defenders where some of those errors are happening?
I think it's just not the defenders. I think it deflates everyone. I think that's the fans, that's us as a management team, it's the players on the pitch. No one wants to make individual errors, but when they do make them, it does deflate everyone. When someone scores a good goal against you, you can puff your chest up and you can go again, and that's what we've got to get that mentality back in the group. That look, don't worry about the types of goals we're conceding now. We've got to make sure that we go again and focus again, because a lot of the time we've conceded a quick goal after the one that we've just conceded from an error, and that's just a lack of concentration. And yes, it can be confidence within that, but we've got to build that as a management team now, and we're slowly doing that in training. Like I said, it's not going to happen overnight.
Are some players, given the fact that you've conceded so many this season, are some players now, between now and the end of the season, fighting to be part of your plans for next season?
No, we haven't really looked at it like that. We're fighting for this season. We're not looking too far ahead. Like I said, we go one game at a time. We're looking at Bradford now. We're making sure that we're all focused on the Bradford performance now, and that's our sole focus at the minute.
After the game the other night, it wasn't a nice atmosphere, was it? Obviously, when you and the players walked over to the Meadow Lane, to the end of Meadow Lane, the Cop, to see the supporters there. Um, do you think there's a bit of work to be done at the moment on that relationship between the club and the supporters? Not just with you, but with the players as well. There've been a couple of players coming out and explaining things that happened. Aidan Baldwin kicking the ball into the crowd, and Paul Cameron talking about speaking to a fan after. Do you think that needs a bit of TLC at the moment? That relationship between the team and the supporters.
Look, I think the biggest thing with all of it, it comes down to winning games of football, and that's the industry. And when we win games of football, there's always that feel-good factor. All I would say is that the fans have backed us. We need everyone in it together now. When you go through these difficult periods, and we're in a relentless league now, when you go through them, we need to all stick together and get behind the team and get behind the lads. Then they're not out. They don't ever mean to make mistakes. They've given everything for the club. We come up short the other night, and we did in the second half especially. We didn't perform to a high level, but I'd say keep backing the lads, keep getting behind them. We've got a group of lads that really care for the football club and give everything. After the game and even this week, we've had to pick them up. They were devastated. So look, they really care for the football club and they're giving everything. We've got to make sure now that collectively now as a whole group that we stick together and we look to focus now on Bradford.
Do you understand that where the fans are coming from though in their frustration, because they see a team that were top of the league much earlier in the season, and over the last 3 months, again, it goes back to before you were here, but over the past 3 months, it's 11 points from 14 games. They're seeing them concede a lot of goals at home, not one at home yet in 2024. They're bound to want to express that frustration, aren't they?
No, look, we feel their frustration. I said it in my interview after the game. I totally accept it, and we know that they're going to be frustrated, and we know that. But if you look at the trend of the season, we were up the top end of the league earlier within the season. It's a very tough league. I think we've come into the league full of confidence, and then when you get your knocks, we're used to, as a football club, be winning every week. In the last 18 months, if you look at getting promoted through the playoffs, you're used to winning a hell of a lot of time. When you start losing games and lose back-to-back games, it becomes very hard, because that feeling within the group they're not used to. So now we've got to make sure that the mentality becomes tougher now, that we bounce back, and we've got a game on Saturday to put it right.
Will it be easier, given the fact that you've not won at home yet this year, and the fact that what happened after the game the other night? Will it be easier to play away than at Meadow Lane this weekend?
I think it's easier to sit here and say that, but we love playing at home. We love our home fans. We love to give them something to cheer about. I think we've only given them certain moments since we've been in charge as a management team to cheer about. We've been very unlucky in different games when big moments have not gone our way. But look, we love playing at home, because once we can get them behind them, it's such a powerful tool here to have that 11,000 fans behind us. It becomes so powerful, and it can build such momentum. So it's something that we need to make sure that when we do play at home next time, that we need to give them something to cheer about and get behind us.
It's another big club to play this weekend, big ground, not a great pitch by any stretch of the imagination, given the way it looked just a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of rain on it, I think, this week. I know it's the same for both teams, but it does make it challenging the way that you like to play football, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you could look at that before we went to Mansfield, before we went to Newport. I think you have to manage the pitch in different stages and know to make sure that we play in the right areas and we don't risk it in certain areas of the pitch. So, look, there's all those aspects, but like you just said there, it's the same for both teams. We've got to go there with a game plan and make sure that we can execute it to the best of our ability.
And they're one of those teams, aren't they, chasing those playoff positions, and they're looking good of late. They're on a good run of form, aren't they?
They're in really good run of form. I think they've kept 4 clean sheets in their last 4 league games. They obviously lost in the cup the other night to Wickham, but yeah, they're in really good form, and they're a really tough team. They're a team the same as us before the start of the season, would want to be right up there in the mix. So they're making a charge at the minute now, and look, we've just got to focus on ourselves. So we know that they're a very good team. They've got very good personnel within their ranks throughout their whole squad, depending on what players that they put out there. So we've just got to focus on ourselves now, though.
Best of luck this weekend, Stuart.
Thank you. Take care.
Hi, Stuart. Just obviously, so with Bradford this week and then the rest of the games in March, sort of playing teams that are around you in the table. Does that sort of make it tougher, because obviously they're wanting the points to get into those playoff positions as much as you are?
I think every game in this league's tough. I think if you look at the run of fixtures we're just coming out of, we've played teams all at the top end of the league, and you've seen the standard of it. But we lost to Sutton the other night, and you've seen the fight that they put into the game, because they're fighting for their lives to stay within the division. I think there's top teams from top to bottom within this division, so every game you go into you have to assess it in different ways, but you've got to know that you're going to be in for a tough game. It doesn't really matter what kind of league position they're in, it's going to be a tough game in different ways.
But does it perhaps make the fight for the playoff positions a bit tougher, knowing that obviously if you then lose to these teams, they build that gap above you, don't they?
Oh no, of course it is. Look, whenever you play a team that's around you, if they can take 3 points off you, you end up 3 points further away from them. So they're big games in that sense to push, to aim to get around the playoffs. But yeah, look, every game, every time you're playing for 3 points is huge.
And just talking about sort of the frustration from the fans and picking the players back up after that defeat, is it harder to sort of move the players away from the fans' reaction as compared to the result?
Yeah, it can be difficult, but I look at it for us as a group. We've got to make sure that fuels us to make sure that we perform to a higher level and that we come again. Like I said before, the lads have given everything in that second half performance at Sutton. It is a huge frustration from all of us, and that's me as us as the management team and the players as well. They're frustrated of that level of performance, but what I do know is that there'll be a reaction because they're a really good group of lads and give everything for the football club. So we're looking forward now to Bradford.